You won't believe what these divers just discovered. Drowning darkness, predators, crashing waves. Deep-sea divers face life and death risks every time they plunge into the abyss. But perhaps the ocean's terrors are worth facing if they bring to light things we've never seen before. From a giant squid to a bottle nearly as old as Canada, here are the 20 strangest things found by deep-sea divers. Number 20. Giant squid in Japan. In 2023, diver Yosuke Tanaka and his wife welcomed the year with an impressive and once-in-a-lifetime experience. While diving in Toyooka City in Hyogo Prefecture, Japan, on a chilly January day, they were alerted by local fishing equipment vendors about sightings of a massive creature lurking in the waters. They decided to take a dive, hoping to come across the large creature, and surprisingly, they did have a close encounter with the elusive being. What the couple encountered was a giant squid, an 8-foot-long behemoth that seldom comes close to humans. An 8-foot-long behemoth is incredible but not even the biggest of their kind. These cephalopods can grow up to 43 feet long and even larger. Usually, these creatures are deep-sea dwellers, living at depths of around 1,000 to 2,000 feet in a part of the ocean where the sun barely penetrates, making them an elusive sight. The Tanakas were incredibly fortunate to encounter one of these majestic animals alive and swimming in shallower waters. So then, how did this giant squid end up in shallow waters? Unfortunately, it's likely that the squid was nearing the end of its life when it surfaced. It was likely already in poor health when it decided to venture nearer to the surface. Even so, the memory of the squid served as an unforgettable encounter for researchers and the couple. Number 19. Wood-eating worm becomes sulfur-eating monster. You're looking at a giant sulfur-eating shipworm. Yes, you heard that right, sulfur. This bizarre creature, discovered in the Philippines, is like a sci-fi abomination in reality. First of all, despite being called a shipworm, the giant shipworm is actually a type of clam, not a worm. This creature is a distant relative of the wood-eating shipworms that have been a maritime nuisance for centuries, munching through wooden ships and docks. However, the giant shipworm has evolved in a completely unexpected direction. For so long, we were clueless about them. That's because we've only ever found lifeless specimens. Recently, however, we finally discovered living ones in the southern Philippines. The habitat where they were discovered was filled with rotting wood and other debris, allowing these bizarre creatures to flourish. For some bizarre reason, however, the shipworm scientists found have evolved to thrive on a sulfur diet. Aside from wood, their habitat was rich in hydrogen sulfide, a gas known for its rotten egg smell and toxicity. It seems that these creatures adapted to their habitat and learned to get nutrients from what's abundant around them. Scientists discovered that the giant shipworm's gills house symbiotic bacteria that oxidize the hydrogen sulfide, producing carbon compounds that feed the shipworm. This symbiotic relationship allows the shipworm to grow to such immense sizes without relying on traditional food sources like wood. Number 18. Squid egg sac. What's more fascinating than a giant squid? A massive squid egg. Now, this floating object might look like an alien blob, but what you're looking at is actually a squid's egg sac. It proves just how massive these creatures are. After all, just the egg sac itself is as big as an adult human. On October 6, 2019, Ronald Rash, a diver with the Norwegian research vessel Rev Ocean, captured this giant egg sac on camera. They were exploring near a World War II shipwreck off the western coast of Norway when they came across this giant transparent orb at around 55 feet below the surface. This particular egg sac belongs to the 10-armed southern shortfin squid. These egg sacs are incredibly rare and delicate, making close encounters and detailed studies difficult. With its size, each sac can easily contain between 50,000 and 200,000 baby squid, all packed into a gelatinous sphere that can grow to over 3 feet in diameter. The sac itself is made from a mix of squid ink and mucus, creating a protective environment for the developing embryos. Despite protecting the embryos, they remain transparent, allowing the divers to see the tiny transparent eggs inside, ready to hatch into baby squids. The southern shortfin squid is known for creating these large spherical egg sacs, but sightings are infrequent, making this discovery particularly exciting for marine biologists. These egg masses have been reported in various locations, including the Mediterranean and along the coasts of Spain, France, and Italy, but it's always a special treat to see one up close. So, if you ever see a giant blob floating while diving, perhaps you're seeing one of these rare discoveries. Number 17. Bottle nearly as old as Canada. Halifax man John Krause was scuba diving in the ocean waters of Nova Scotia's Northwest Arm in 2015 when he discovered something unexpected. A bottle dating back to the 1870s and 1880s. This means that the bottle he discovered is nearly as old as Canada itself. The bottle, identified by its distinct markings, traces back to Alexander Keith's, one of Canada's oldest and most storied breweries, founded in 1820 by Alexander Keith, a Scottish immigrant. When the bottle was recovered, it was nearly complete and still corked. Researchers at Dalhousie University analyzed the contents and found that despite its age, the beer inside was still somewhat drinkable, at least according to researchers. No one really dared to drink the ancient liquid. Even then, the original brew might not be something we fancy today. In the end, John decided to keep the bottle to himself and hopefully preserve the cork and the liquid inside the bottle for years to come. Would you dare take a sip of this liquid? I'm quite adventurous, but a liquid almost 2 centuries old? I think I'll pass on this one. Number 16. 900 bottles of 100-year-old booze. In 1917, during the height of World War I, the Swedish cargo ship SS Kairos was transporting a precious load of French cognac and Benedictine liqueur intended for the Russian aristocracy. This luxurious cargo was on its way to Tsar Nicholas II when a German U-boat intercepted and sank the Kairos in the Baltic Sea. The ship sank into the ocean at a depth of 253 feet. For over a century, it remained untouched, with the freezing waters preserving the ship and its precious cargo. It wasn't until 2019 that it was once again discovered. The Ocean X team, led by Peter Lindbergh and Dennis Asberg, made it their mission to recover this historic cache. Despite the depth, the team did the unprecedented and salvaged 900 bottles of century-old booze preserved by the icy ocean water since the First World War. Each bottle tells a story of a bygone era. The haul included 50 cases of cognac branded to Hartmann and Company and 15 cases of Benedictine liqueur. Despite their age, you'd be surprised that the contents of the century-old bottles were still most likely drinkable, but of course, not many people would take the risk. The salvaged bottles were estimated to have a combined value of over $1 million, although the exact price the bottles fetched at auction was never revealed. Number 15. Mysterious 17th Century Cauldron. Recently, a mysterious 17th century cauldron was discovered off the coast of Florida. Well, it looks like a cauldron, but recent analysis revealed that it might be more than that. At first glance, this copper dome really does look like it was used for cooking. However, experts are slowly becoming convinced that this copper dome had a different use. First of all, it was discovered near the wreck of the Spanish treasure galleon Santa Margarita. The ship sank in 1622 during a hurricane in the Florida Straits, carrying a fortune in gold and silver. Considering this, the dome could be something valuable, like a part of an early diving bell that was used to try and salvage artifacts from the wreck. Diving bells were among the first devices to enable humans to explore the underwater world. They worked by trapping air inside a bell-shaped vessel, which was then lowered into the water. Divers could stay inside the bell and breathe the trapped air while working on the seabed. The artifact, now housed in the Mel Fisher Maritime Museum in Sebastian, Florida, measures 58 inches in diameter and lacks signs of charring or heating, which would be expected if it were a cooking cauldron. Instead, its construction matches descriptions of 17th century diving bells, which were used to allow divers to work underwater by trapping air inside. Number 14. Enigma Machine from World War II. In 2020, divers were on a routine mission to clean up ghost nets or abandoned fishing nets at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. These forgotten nets pose a threat to marine life, so it's imperative to clean them up. The divers got a lot more than they bargained for, however, when they stumbled upon a rusted, algae-covered contraption that looked like an ancient typewriter. Little did they know, before their eyes was a rare Enigma machine, an object used by the German forces during World War II to encrypt military communications. When this object was first invented, it was considered an engineering marvel of its time. It was designed by Arthur Skerbius after World War I and quickly adopted by the German military. It featured rotor wheels that scrambled letters to create coded messages. To decrypt these messages, the receiver needed another Enigma machine set to the same rotor positions. This complex system allowed the German forces to transmit secret information with relative impunity until Allied codebreakers, led by British mathematician Alan Turing, eventually cracked the code. This specific Enigma machine found by the divers had 3 rotors, suggesting it was used on a German warship rather than a U-boat, which typically carried 4-rotor models. This device was likely thrown overboard in May 1945 when the German forces scuttled their ships as they tried to prevent them from being captured by the Allies. This discovery is one of a kind, as only a handful of these devices have survived to this day. After this discovery, the Enigma machine was handed over to the Museum of Archaeology in Schleswig for preservation and study. Number 13. 900-year-old sword found underwater. On the 16th of October in 2021, sport diver Shlomi Katzin was exploring the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea when he discovered a number of artifacts lying on the seabed. Among them was a bizarre sword encrusted with barnacles and other marine life. Initially, Shlomi didn't have any idea that he had just picked up a precious artifact. It turned out that he discovered a 4-foot-long iron sword that was made and used 900 years ago, possibly by a Crusader knight. Experts claimed that the region where Shlomi found the sword saw significant use during the Crusades, a series of religious wars initiated by European powers to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim rule. The sword itself, with its straight blade and 30-centimeter hilt, is a classic example of the weapons used by knights during this tumultuous period. In the end, Shlomi turned it over to local authorities, hoping that researchers could preserve it for decades, perhaps centuries more to come. Number 12. Roman Party City. Dinner parties, luxury, nightlife. These are the cornerstones of Roman social life. The nobility chased pleasure during the Roman era. Their people loved to party so much that one town was known to be dedicated solely to social gatherings. Baiae, located on the northwest shore of the Gulf of Naples, was the ultimate resort destination for Rome's rich and famous. Known for its beautiful landscapes, luxurious villas, and infamous hedonism, Baiae attracted notable figures like Julius Caesar, Nero, and Hadrian, all of whom owned luxurious homes there. It was a city of history and secrets. It was often compared to Las Vegas for its wild parties, extravagant feasts, and scandalous activities. Even Emperor Caligula couldn't resist making a mark here. He famously built a 3-mile-long pontoon bridge across the Bay of Baiae just to ride his horse across it and prove a point to his critics. And yet, in the 3rd century AD, this seemingly untouchable city was toppled over by nature itself. Seismic activity and geological phenomena caused Baiae to slowly sink. By the 8th century, a significant portion of the city had slipped beneath the sea. Further devastation came from barbarian invasions and a malaria outbreak in the 16th century, which led to the city's complete abandonment. Today, Baiae is nothing compared to the grand city it once was. It now serves as an underwater park where divers can explore the remnants of its past. Number 11. Diver returns iPhone he found underwater. Now, if you drop your phone in the ocean, it's likely that you'll never be able to retrieve it unless you have a professional diver who can quickly jump in the water to retrieve it. Your phone would likely end up deep in the water, and even if you retrieve it, there's a chance that your phone won't work properly anymore. And so, when Alex Schulz, the CEO and co-founder of the ocean cleanup company 4Ocean, spotted an iPhone while diving in the Boca Raton Inlet, South Florida, he didn't expect that it would work again. That is until he saw the phone closer and realized that it was encased in a waterproof bag. Alex, accustomed to finding all sorts of items underwater, was amazed to see that this iPhone was in pristine condition despite its time on the ocean floor. After bringing the phone back to the 4Ocean office, Alex charged it up and was delighted to see it power on. He then used the emergency contact listed, Mom, on the lock screen to track down the owner. When he called, the owner's mother was overjoyed and astonished that the phone had been found and was still working. She explained that her son had lost it a few days earlier during a fishing trip with his dad, and they had lost hope of trying to find it. That day, Alex hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only did he manage to do a good deed for the owner of the phone, but he also saved hundreds or even thousands of marine creatures by cleaning their habitat one piece of trash at a time. Number 10. Giant jellyfish as big as a diver. Time and time again, the ocean proves why it's the most daunting place on Earth. Imagine swimming underwater at depths that could easily endanger you if you're not careful. Then, you see a gigantic creature swimming alongside you. Encountering an animal in the wild is always humbling. That's exactly what biologist and wildlife presenter Lizzie Daly experienced while diving near Falmouth as part of her Wild Ocean Week campaign. During her dive, Daly and her cameraman Dan Abbott came across a giant barrel jellyfish measuring 5 feet long. The two swam alongside the enormous jellyfish for over an hour, which was surely an unforgettable experience for both of them. These creatures are the largest species of jellyfish found in UK waters, typically growing up to 3 feet in diameter, but this particular specimen was exceptionally large. While these creatures can be intimidating, they're actually harmless to humans. In fact, even if one stings you, you most likely won't feel their sting. Even so, it's best to keep a safe distance from these wild creatures out of respect for them living their lives in their own habitats. Number 9. Underwater anomaly that cuts electricity from diver equipment. In 2011, Swedish divers from the Ocean X team stumbled upon a 70-foot-long disc-shaped object resting nearly 300 feet below the surface. This is nothing new. For all we know, this could be a strange-shaped but completely natural formation. And yet, divers began reporting that upon drawing closer to where this object was, their electrical equipment, from their cameras to their satellite phones, all stopped working. Strangely, these devices resumed functioning only once the divers moved away from the object. The object's peculiar shape and the strange phenomena surrounding it led to various theories, from it being part of an alien UFO fleet to an ancient relic from the Ice Age. Scientists have examined samples from the site, suggesting it might be a natural geological formation or volcanic rock. However, its exact origin remains a mystery to this day. Number 8. A haunting undersea graveyard. Located about 1,100 miles northwest of New Guinea in the Western Pacific is Truk Lagoon, a small part of Micronesia. For so long, little was known about Truk, but once it was explored, its tumultuous history began. It was occasionally visited by Spanish explorers in 1528, but it was already home to several natives at the time. In time, Spanish colonialists officially claimed the area before selling it to the Germans in 1899. Then Japan gained possession of Truk Lagoon from Germany as the nation lost it following its defeat in World War I. Truk Lagoon was far from seeing peace, however. In the Second World War, Truk Lagoon became a significant Japanese naval base, known as the Gibraltar of the Pacific. It housed a formidable fleet, including battleships, aircraft carriers, and submarines. The lagoon's natural harbor provided strategic protection, making it a critical asset for Japan's military operations in the Pacific. In February 1944, the U.S. launched Operation Hailstone, a massive two-day assault on the lagoon. This involved continuous air raids that sank over 40 Japanese ships and destroyed more than 250 aircraft. The devastation was immense, claiming the lives of thousands of Japanese soldiers and sailors. Today, all that's left is the ghost fleet of Truk Lagoon. Despite the chaos that battered Truk Lagoon in the past, the wrecks lying beneath its waters are now well preserved by the peaceful current over the area. However, divers who visit this area often go home with eerie stories. Divers have described sudden drops in temperature, mysterious currents, and the sensation of being watched. Some even claim to have seen apparitions of sailors and heard disembodied voices speaking in Japanese. Whether these tales are true or not continues to be debated. Number 7. Glowing Slinky-like massive eggs. In 2017, a massive glowing Slinky-like creature was encountered by a scuba diver off the coast of Australia. Now, looking upon this creature, do you have any guesses about what it is? If you haven't a clue, don't worry because even researchers were stumped when they first saw it. Initially, this blob looks like nothing but an alien creature. However, closer inspection and analysis by marine biologists revealed that this glowing, swirling mass is actually a mass of squid eggs from a diamondback squid. These egg masses are incredibly rare and can reach lengths of up to 6 feet, and a single swirl can contain thousands of eggs. The egg mass's striking appearance comes from the translucent, pinkish glow of the eggs themselves, which are studded with chromatophores, or pigment-containing cells. These chromatophores give the eggs their vibrant hue, making these masses look otherworldly and almost alien in appearance. However, the mass floats freely in the ocean until the eggs hatch. So if you ever chance upon something like this in the water, you now know what it is. Number 6. Tail-standing sperm whales. Imagine your body needing to actually remind you to breathe while you're sleeping. Sounds inconvenient, right? That's exactly what whales experience. You see, sometimes divers encounter a pod of whales floating in the middle of the ocean with their heads facing up. This might look weird, but this is a necessary thing for them. Whales, unlike humans, need to come up for air consciously. This means they can't afford to be fully unconscious while sleeping. Instead, they utilize a special type of sleep known as unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. This allows one hemisphere of the brain to rest while the other remains active. Basically, one side of their brain stays awake to handle breathing and stay aware of potential dangers, while the other side gets some much-needed rest. Aside from one part of their brain being active, this bizarre position allows them to quickly float to the surface, making it easier for them to take a breath while remaining asleep. They typically sleep for about 20-minute intervals before needing to come up for air again, and this process can continue for several hours at a time. Number 5. The world's heaviest bony fish. Among the creatures living in the ocean is the astounding Mola alexandrini, also known as the bumphead sunfish. Not only is this creature known for its bizarre appearance, but it's also known as the world's heaviest bony fish, with a weight that can reach a staggering 5,070 pounds. This species is a relative of the mola mola, a different sunfish species. Unlike its more renowned kin, this sunfish species can grow up to 10 feet long and has a prominent head bump and unique body shape that's almost circular. They inhabit the warmer waters of the world's oceans, frequently seen basking near the surface to soak up the sun's rays. Typically, these creatures are known for being gentle giants that pose no harm to humans. In fact, they're known to be a delight to swim with, even for beginner divers. Number 4. 2,000-year-old preserved pill. Around 120 BCE, the Rito del Poino, a Roman shipping vessel, sank off the coast of Tuscany. Now, more than 2 millennia later, a team of archaeologists sent divers to excavate the ruins and haul up planks of rotting wood. It was then that they discovered astounding historical artifacts, including a small tin container. This small tin might look like nothing extraordinary at first glance, but it's actually something valuable. Researchers discovered that inside the small tin were perfectly preserved Roman pills. These tablets, analyzed by a team of Italian chemists, revealed a sophisticated blend of ingredients. The tablets primarily contain zinc compounds along with iron oxide, starch, beeswax, pine resin, and other plant materials. Researchers believe these pills were used as eye medicine or eye wash, providing a connection to the medical practices described by ancient authors like Pliny the Elder and Dioscorides. Through these tablets, scientists got the chance to study the exact composition of Roman medicine, giving us yet another valuable glimpse of Roman history. Number 3. A confused remora. Remoras, also known as suckerfish, have a unique relationship with larger marine animals like sharks, rays, and even whales. These fish use a suction disc on the top of their heads to attach themselves to their host, hitching a ride and feeding on the leftovers of their host's meals. The relationship between remoras and sharks is known as mutualism. By attaching themselves to sharks, they can travel to different parts of the ocean effortlessly, and they can eat scraps of prey dropped by the shark. In return, the shark receives a free cleanup from remoras that feed off parasites on its skin and mouth. It's a win-win relationship. This one particular remora, however, seemed to be quite confused. In 2017, a scuba diver gliding through the coral-rich floors suddenly found a remora attached to him. Initially, the diver didn't realize what was happening, but soon felt a gentle tug as the fish attempted to attach itself. The remora, acting on instinct, mistook the diver for a shark or another large sea creature due to his size and movement in the water. Now, I don't know about you, but that's just adorable. The Red Sea is renowned for its rich marine life and vibrant coral reefs, making it a popular destination for divers. Encounters with marine creatures, including remoras, are part of the charm. If you somehow find yourself in close proximity to remoras, you don't need to worry because they're harmless to humans. If they do try to attach themselves to you, however, their suction can be quite surprising. Number 2. Oldest submerged city known in the world. In 1967, marine archaeologist Nicholas Fleming discovered Pavlopetri lying beneath the surface of the Mediterranean Sea. This underwater city is remarkably well preserved, with its layout still clearly visible, including streets, buildings, courtyards, and tombs. So far, archaeologists have identified at least 15 buildings, many with multiple rooms, as well as a complex water management system featuring channels and pipes. With its complexity, no one would guess that Pavlopetri is an urban center built during the Bronze Age, between 300 and 1000 BCE. The city's preservation is largely due to its submergence, caused by a combination of earthquakes and rising sea levels. This natural protection has kept the site relatively intact. Despite the fact that it has been decades since its discovery, there's still much to learn about Pavlopetri, the oldest submerged underwater city in the world. Now it's time for today's topic. No one was supposed to find it. If these divers didn't capture this, no one would believe this. In recent years, air travel has solidified itself as the fastest and most reliable way of transportation. However, due to cost efficiency and environmental considerations, we continue to ship the majority of our cargo through marine travel. You would think that we would know the ocean by now. However, we're still at its mercy. Several divers allegedly discovered a massive cargo ship underwater with not one but dozens of luxury cars. According to the World Shipping Council, about 1,560 containers are lost at sea every year. It's not impossible that a major accident would send millions of dollars worth of cars deep into the abyss. Unfortunately, when this happens, recovery is almost next to impossible. Time and time again, the ocean continues to prove that we are ultimately at its mercy. Number 1. Bronze arm. You probably heard about the Antikythera mechanism, the renowned ancient computer. This mechanism was discovered in the Antikythera shipwreck found off the coast of Greece. However, there are more artifacts discovered in the wreck. This includes a bronze arm belonging to an ancient statue along with a mystery disc. Researchers believe that these fragments could be part of up to 9 statues around the wreck, dating back to 2,000 years ago. To this day, however, the said statues remain unfounded. These are definitely interesting, but perhaps you have other deep-sea discoveries to share. If so, feel free to share them in the comments down below. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on the screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video.